Welcome to Love Lies Chronicles.
Support the channel by liking, commenting, and subscribing. I promise even more interesting stories. It started with a sentence that didn't even deserve a full stop. No goodbye. No fight. No warning. Just a message on my phone that read, "I think I need to figure out who I really am. Please don't try to stop me." I must have read it a dozen times, sitting in my car outside the grocery store with a half-melted pint of ice cream on the passenger seat and a receipt still crumpled in my hand. It didn't even say she was leaving me. Not directly. It was vague, soft, and emotionally evasive, just like she'd become in the months leading up to it. At first, I thought maybe it was a breakdown. Maybe she just needed space. I even told myself not to overreact, that we'd talk it through like we always had. But something in my gut knew, this wasn't space. This was exit. When I got home, the signs were there. Half her clothes were missing. Her vanity drawer was empty. The little post-it note she usually left for me with her lunch order for the next day, gone. The coffee maker was unplugged, like she wouldn't be needing it again. And the house felt hollow. I didn't cry. I didn't scream or call anyone. I just sat on the edge of our bed, my bed now, I guess, and stared at the wall. It's strange, the things that echo in your head in a moment like that. I kept thinking about how she used to hum while making tea. How she'd run her fingers along the bookshelf whenever she was on the phone. How I never once imagined she'd leave without even asking me to fight for her. But the worst part? I had seen it coming. I just hadn't wanted to believe it. For months, I'd noticed the changes, her new wardrobe, her abrupt gym obsession, how she'd started working late and going silent during dinners. There was this new performance about her. Like she was trying to impress someone, but it definitely wasn't me. When I asked her once if everything was okay, she gave me this half-smile, the kind you give a stranger on the elevator when they hold the door. Polite, hollow, impenetrable. Then there were the dreams she started talking about. The things she never got to do. The music festival she missed in college. The career she never pursued. How she felt like life was slipping past her while she played house. The way she said that last part, it stung. Like everything we built was just some game she had been humoring. And maybe I should have said something then. Maybe I should have fought harder. Asked her what she really meant instead of brushing it off. But you know what? I was tired too. Tired of guessing how she felt. Tired of waking up every morning wondering which version of her I'd be coming home to that night. The truth was, I had started pulling away too, just slower. More respectfully. That night, after sitting in silence for what felt like hours, I opened our wedding album. Page after page of smiles and promises and people clapping for a future neither of us understood. She looked so sure back then. I looked so in love. I closed the album and shoved it back into the drawer. There was nothing left to save. At 1:13 a.m., my phone buzzed again. "Don't hate me. You'll understand one day. This is for both of us." I stared at it, then deleted it without replying. Because I already understood. She chose him over me. But I hadn't yet chosen how I'd respond. Not with rage. Not with weakness. I was going to do something harder than both. I was going to choose myself. And unlike her, I wouldn't be coming back. She didn't say his name. Not in the message. Not in the days that followed. She didn't have to. When someone you've built a life with for years suddenly decides she needs space, there's always someone waiting in it. That much I've learned. It doesn't happen in a vacuum. People don't throw away a life unless they believe there's something or someone better waiting on the other side. I didn't go looking for proof immediately. For a while, I tried to pretend I was above it. I told myself that dignity meant staying calm, letting her go, giving her the time she asked for. But silence is a loud teacher. She hadn't even asked how I was. Not once. No message checking in. No guilt-soaked apology texts. Just silence. Like I had died and she had already adjusted to life after me. It was hard not to imagine her smiling somewhere else, curled up next to him, probably laughing at how dramatic I must be acting right now. I could almost hear her voice. He takes everything so personally. And yeah, maybe I did. Maybe I still do. But when someone walks away from you like that, with no closure, no goodbye, just a breadcrumb trail of vague excuses and a forwarded mail for address change, it's personal. Still, I waited. For clarity. For confirmation. For something, anything, that would help me file the whole damn thing under a box labeled truth, instead of theories. And then I saw it. It wasn't even hidden. She'd used our joint card stupidly for a hotel downtown. 2 nights. Same weekend she said she was staying with Lila to thank. The hotel name was a boutique place, one of those stylish hideaways with ambient lighting, rooftop cocktails, in beds that swallow you whole. I clicked the charge to see the timestamp. 4:52 p.m., Friday. She texted me at 5:03. 10 minutes. That's how long it took her to book a room and write a breakup message pretending to be confused about her identity. I stared at the screen for a long time, and that's when the numbness cracked. I went still, then cold, then hot all over. Not because I didn't expect it. Deep down, I had. But because this meant she wasn't just cheating on me. She was insulting my intelligence on the way out. And I don't do well with being insulted. The next morning, I drove by her office. I didn't plan it. I just found myself parked in a lot across the street, coffee going lukewarm in my cup holder. It was early, maybe 7:30, the sky a dull gray, clouds heavy like they knew something I didn't. She came out just after 8 o'clock. Not alone. He was with her. He wasn't flashy, not in a traditional sense. Just polished. Like someone who shaves twice a day and actually uses the scented moisturizer in the department store gift set. He had that permanent smirk men wear when they think they've won. And maybe he had. For now. They walked close, too close for coworkers. Her shoulder grazed his. He touched her back briefly as they crossed the street. She didn't flinch. She leaned in. She looked happy. I didn't move. I didn't cry. I didn't snap. I just watched. And that was the moment I stopped asking why. Not just because I had my answer, but because I realized I didn't like the man I was becoming, the guy parked in secret with foggy windows and cold coffee, tracking a woman who'd already made up her mind. This wasn't love anymore. This was a postmortem. And I wasn't about to keep dragging the corpse around like it might wake up and apologize. She had chosen him. Let her have him. I drove home, packed up some of her remaining things, those she hadn't bothered to take. Her books. Her nail polishes. Her favorite oversized sweater she claimed was mine, so I wouldn't question how she got it. I threw it all in a box. No note. No explanation. Just a box on the porch with a text that said, "Collect these before the rain comes." She replied, finally. A single line. "You didn't have to be cold." I didn't answer. Because she wasn't entitled to warmth anymore. Not mine. I thought healing would be loud. I imagined some dramatic declaration of freedom, maybe smashing something. Hell, maybe even buying a motorcycle I didn't need just to feel in control of something. I had this cinematic version of recovery in my head, the one where the broken man reinvents himself overnight. But that wasn't how it worked. The truth? Healing came slow, quiet. 1,000 little decisions made when no one was watching. I started by waking up early. Not because I had to. Not because anyone needed me to. But because my mind was sharpest in those first moments of silence, when the world hadn't yet told me who I was supposed to be. I'd sit at the kitchen table with a mug of black coffee and a notebook. No journaling. Just lists. What I owned. What I owed. What I wanted. What I was done tolerating. I made those lists every morning for weeks. And somewhere between list number 8 and list number 22, I realized how little of my life had actually belonged to me. I was always adjusting. Compromising. Waiting. I didn't even like that apartment. She picked it. The couch hurt my back. The curtains were ugly. Even the wine glasses were the kind she said made her feel grown up. I'd spent years making space for her preferences. And in doing that, I'd quietly moved my own once into storage. So I moved. Didn't tell her. Didn't ask for advice. Just scouted listings, packed the essentials, and walked out. I left behind the couch, the wine glasses, and every damn pillow she bought, just for decoration. My new place wasn't flashy. One bedroom, open windows, old wooden floors that creaked like an honest voice in a dishonest world. But it was mine. I picked every piece inside it. The armchair. The dark green rug. The single record player in the corner. I didn't decorate it to impress anyone. I wasn't curating an Instagram life. I was reclaiming mine. That's when the hunger came back, not for her, but for living. I started running again, the way I used to in college, before we turned every weekend into a cycle of errands and brunches and conversations where she'd nod while scrolling. At first, I couldn't go a block without losing my breath. But the pain felt honest. Earned. I didn't listen to music. I listened to my footsteps. 1, 2. 1, 2. I wasn't running from anything anymore. I was running towards something, even if I didn't yet know what. I deleted the photos, one by one. Not out of rage. Just clarity. Each image felt like a chapter in a book that had already been published, already read. I didn't want to burn the book. I just didn't want to keep rereading the ending. It wasn't just about forgetting her. It was about remembering myself. I'd always been the steady one. The provider. The dependable rock everyone leaned on. But steady can become stagnant if no one ever asks you what you need. And somewhere along the way, I stopped even wondering. Until now. I took a solo trip up north. Nothing fancy. Just a rented cabin on a lake I'd seen in a magazine years ago and told myself I'd visit someday. It was cold, damp, quiet. I didn't check email. I didn't bring a book. I sat on the deck for hours, staring at water that didn't owe anyone an explanation for being still. And I breathed. It was there, on that second morning, wrapped in a wool blanket with calloused hands holding hot coffee, that I finally said it out loud. She's not coming back. And the second sentence came before I could stop it. I don't want her to. It didn't feel like a weapon. It felt like a release. Like unclenching a fist I'd forgotten I was making. That evening, I looked through my phone and cleared it. Contacts, photos, saved texts, everything connected to her. The old me would have backed it up, just in case. But there was no case to be made anymore. I didn't need the receipts. I had the truth. And the truth was this. She had made a choice. But so had I. I chose myself. And for the first time in years, that felt like enough. It happened gradually. Of course it did. Women like her don't come crashing down all at once. They slide. Slowly. Elegantly, even. Like a silk dress slipping off a hanger, folding into a quiet heap on the floor. But I didn't see the fall, not at first. I heard about it. It was a friend of a friend who mentioned it at a local bookstore event. She didn't even realize I used to be her husband. She was just talking about that woman from Thompson and Hall, who left her husband for a younger guy in the tech scene and then quit her job because he said he'd take care of everything. Spoiler, he didn't. I didn't ask for details. But later that night, lying in bed with the window open and a spring breeze cutting the silence, I let the pieces fall into place. Of course he didn't. Guys like him never do. They're all show and no soul. Flashy, temporary people who love the rush of pursuit but wither under the weight of real life. The second she handed him the keys to her future, he realized she wasn't a prize anymore, just a responsibility. And if there's one thing immature men hate more than being tied down, it's having to show up every day for someone who used to feel exciting and now just feels there. A week later, I got my first direct sign. Her name lit up on my phone. Just once. A missed call. No voicemail. I stared at it for a while, thumb hovering over the screen, not out of curiosity, but disbelief. She had to know by now. I'd moved. Disappeared from the apartment we once shared. I didn't announce it. Didn't update my socials. Didn't leave breadcrumbs. If she wanted to find me, she had to look hard. Apparently, she did. The next message came the day after. Hey, didn't mean to bother you. Just wanted to talk, if that's okay. That was it. No apologies. No explanation. Just a soft knock in the dark, testing the walls of a house she'd burned to the ground. I didn't respond. Not because I was angry. Because I didn't feel a thing. Not hate. Not longing. Not even the urge to type something clever, some witty one-liner about how I'd upgraded everything, including my peace. I just looked at the message like it was sent to the wrong person. Because it was. She was no longer texting the man who begged for scraps of her time. That man didn't exist anymore. I was in the middle of repainting my kitchen cabinets when she called again. I didn't recognize the number this time, but I answered on instinct, thinking it might be work. Her voice was quiet. Careful. Like someone inching across a frozen lake, terrified of breaking through. Hey. I just wanted to hear your voice. I didn't say anything. I know you probably don't want to talk. I get that. I miss you. I miss what we had. I thought. She trailed off, waiting for me to fill the silence, to offer something, a soft place to land. But there was nothing left to say. I wasn't being cruel. I wasn't playing a game. I just genuinely had no words. It felt like a stranger asking for directions to a city I moved out of years ago. Eventually, she asked, "Are you still there?" I hung up, and I stood in my kitchen with pain on my hands, breathing deeply, trying to place the feeling that had just washed over me. It wasn't vindication. It was freedom. Because for the first time since she left, I wasn't reacting. I wasn't trying to process her choices, decode her intentions, brace for the next emotional hit. She no longer had the power to shake me. The next time I saw her, it wasn't planned. I was at a small outdoor market on a Sunday afternoon, picking up fresh sourdough and some weird imported honey the vendor swore was life-changing. I turned a corner, and there she was, standing alone, sunglasses on, looking smaller somehow. Not thinner. Just dimmer. Like someone had turned the volume down on her whole existence. She saw me too. She didn't smile. Not right away. Her hand twitched like she might wave. But she didn't. I nodded once, polite, like you do when you pass someone you vaguely recognize but don't really know anymore. Because that's what she was now. She took a step toward me. Then another. Hey, she said, her voice softer than I remembered. You look good. Thanks. She hesitated. I know I don't have the right to say anything. I know that. I wanted you to know I think about you. A lot. I nodded again. Neutral. Like I was acknowledging a passing breeze. I made a mistake, she said. A huge one. I didn't argue. She kept going. I thought he was God. I don't know what I thought. I just felt lost and stupid. And I told myself I needed to do something reckless to feel alive again. But all I did was ruin the one thing in my life that actually was real. I let the silence sit. She needed it more than I did. I'm not asking for anything, she finally said. I know I can't fix what I broke. I thought maybe if I could explain. There's nothing to explain, I said quietly. Not cold. Just honest. She blinked. Once. Twice. Can we talk sometime? We're talking now. I mean, later. Somewhere private. I shook my head. Not out of anger. Not even out of finality. There's no door left, I said. You knocked on it too many times and walked away before I ever got to open it. Eventually, I stopped waiting. She nodded slowly, biting her lip like she might cry. But I didn't stay to see if she would. I turned, bread in hand, honey tucked under my arm, and walked toward my car. And I swear the sun felt warmer on my face as I did. Because that day, I didn't get closure. I didn't need it. I had something better. A life she couldn't follow me into, not because I barred the door, but because I built it somewhere she'd never think to look. Somewhere real. Some endings don't come with fireworks. No dramatic music. No slamming doors or shattered glass. Sometimes, it just ends with a silence that doesn't ache anymore. It had been 3 weeks since I last saw her at the market. 3 weeks since she said she missed me. 3 weeks since I realized I didn't miss her back. She sent 2 more texts. Both short. The kind of messages you send when you're hoping to test the temperature without fully stepping in. Just thinking about you. Hope you're doing okay. I didn't reply to either. Not because I was holding on to anger. That part of me had dissolved months ago. Anger had a place back then. When she left, when I saw them together, when I realized everything I built had been treated like a placeholder until something better came along. But the man she betrayed is not the man I am now. And the man I am now doesn't need to answer ghosts. There was one more attempt. A letter this time. Handwritten. Arrived on a rainy Tuesday. I didn't recognize the handwriting at first, which is funny considering how many years I spent reading her notes on sticky pads, grocery lists, or surprise cards left on my pillow. But this wasn't like those. The envelope had no return address. Just my name. My new address. I hadn't given it to her. Someone must have slipped. Maybe she asked around. Maybe she Googled harder than I gave her credit for. I opened it. 2 pages. Slanted cursive. Words that stumbled over themselves, trying to explain, trying to dress betrayal up in regret and reflection. She talked about therapy. About how she realized she'd been chasing validation her whole life. How she confused freedom with recklessness. How she kept waiting for someone to love her enough to fix what she wasn't willing to face on her own. She wrote that I was the only man who had ever made her feel safe. And that maybe safety was something she should have treasured instead of resented. She ended it with, I understand if you never want to see me again. But if there's even a fraction of space left in your heart, I'd do anything to start again. I folded the letter neatly and slid it into a drawer I don't open often. Not to save it. Just to avoid making a decision about whether to throw it out. That drawer also has the ring. The one I bought for her. The one she wore for 10 years and probably slipped off just minutes before checking into a hotel with someone who didn't even have the courtesy to outlast the season. Sometimes, I open the drawer and look at those things, not with pain, but curiosity. Like an archaeologist stumbling on an artifact from a life that feels both impossibly close and impossibly distant. That same week, I had dinner with someone new. Someone kind. She didn't remind me of her, and that was the point. She was calm in a way that didn't demand anything. We didn't talk about exes. We didn't talk about futures. We just talked. And laughed. And when she smiled across the table, there was no strategy behind it. No manipulation. No test to pass. Just warmth. After dinner, we took a walk. Light breeze, half-lit streets, that slow quiet that makes even a city feel small. She asked if I wanted to see her again. I said yes. It wasn't a milestone. It wasn't a victory. It was just, right. And it made me realize something. She's not coming back. Not really. Because even if she showed up at my door, crying, apologizing, promising she was ready to be the woman I always needed, it wouldn't matter. The door is gone. I didn't close it. I removed it. I tore down the frame, pulled up the threshold, and built a new house. A house she's never been inside. One where her voice doesn't echo anymore. One where the air is still and safe, where the lights don't flicker with doubt, and where the floorboards don't creak under the weight of things left unsaid. She chose him over me. That's the truth. But I chose something bigger than her. Bigger than revenge. Bigger than proving anything. I chose me. And when she finally looked back, when the fantasy fizzled and the silence she once enjoyed turned into isolation, there was nothing waiting for her. No apology from me. No bitter words. No door. Just wind and time and the quiet hum of a man who rebuilt his peace with his own hands. Sometimes, love doesn't end in a bang. It ends with a whisper of self-respect and a life lived fully without needing to be witnessed by the one who walked away. She chose him over me. I chose myself over her. And when she finally tried to come back, there was no door left to knock on.
Dear listeners, please share your thoughts in the comments, and do not forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel.